Here are the top stories for today, August 18, 2021. The government continues to repatriate Filipinos from Afghanistan as tensions grip the country following the return to power of the Taliban. The Philippines is also ready to open its doors to Afghan refugees. Malacanang vows to further improve the country's COVID-19 vaccination drive following a recent survey showing Filipinos' perception towards the inoculation program. Local government units in Metro Manila have disbursed over 3 billion pesos in financial assistance to low-income families affected by the enhanced community quarantine in the region. And the Bureau of Internal Revenue has a gentle reminder to your vloggers and social media influencers: pay correct taxes. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. The Department of Foreign Affairs says it is exploring all possible ways to ensure the safe repatriation of the remaining Filipinos in Afghanistan. DFA Assistant Secretary Eduardo Meñez said their department is working nonstop to explore all options to ensure the safety and welfare of our people in Afghanistan. Some 35 Filipinos have so far been repatriated from Afghanistan. They were flown to Doha by their respective companies and joined a DFA chartered flight to Manila. The plane also carried 203 distressed Filipinos from Qatar. Based on DFA's latest estimate, at least 97 Filipinos are still waiting to be flown out of Kabul. The Philippines will open its doors to asylum seekers from Afghanistan as many Afghans scramble to flee the country over fears of the return of hardline Islamist rule by the Taliban. Thousands of Afghans have fled after the Taliban fighters took control of their capital city, Kabul. According to the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, at least 400,000 Afghans have been displaced within their own country this year. Presidential spokesperson Secretary Harry Roque said the Philippines has a history of opening its doors to the refugees.
Welcome po ang mga asylum seekers sa Pilipinas. Nung panahon po ng natanggal ang Tsar of Russia, tinanggap po natin sila. Nung panahon po ng pangalawang pandaigdigang digmaan, tinanggap po natin mga Hudyo sa ating bayan. Lahat po na kinakailangan ng kalinga dahil sila po ay pinipersecute sa kanilang bayan. Meron po kayong lugar dito sa Pilipinas.
The Philippine Embassy in London said it is closely coordinating with local officials in Birmingham after a Filipino was among those who were attacked in the gay village. Canadian Rob and his Filipino husband Patrick were left covered in blood after they were brutally hit and cut with glass bottles outside the missing bar in Birmingham on Sunday. Locsin ordered the Philippine Embassy in London to extend assistance to both victims. Meanwhile, 9.1% or at least 826 Filipinos are victims of Asian hate in the United States. This was revealed by a coalition called Stop Asian American Pacific Islander Hate. The report shows that the Chinese have more hate incidents, followed by Koreans, Filipinos, Japanese, and Vietnamese. PCOO Secretary Martin Andanar said President Rodrigo Duterte's political will contributed to the massive accomplishments of the government in the past 5 years. Andanar said among these initiatives include the Bayanihan laws and the 10-point socio-economic agenda of the administration. One landmark legislation was the Corporate Recovery and Tax Incentives for Enterprises or CREATE Act that reduces corporate income tax rates. This is said to be the biggest stimulus for the businesses in the country. Under the new policy, the Philippine government is providing about 1 trillion pesos worth of tax relief to businesses over the next 10 years. The CREATE Act also enables the government to provide competitive and well-targeted incentives to investors in priority industries and locations. This measure aims to attract more foreign investors and create more jobs for the Filipinos. Malacanang welcomed the results of the latest survey of the Social Weather Station showing that 68% of Filipinos have easy access to COVID-19 vaccination sites in their area. Presidential spokesperson Secretary Harry Roque attributed this to the combined hard work of the executive branch, the local government units, and major stakeholders such as the private sector. He said the government will continue to ramp up our country's vaccination drive to achieve population protection. He also said that the government would boost the supply of COVID-19 jabs to improve access and to pace of vaccination. Meanwhile, those who refuse to get vaccinated against COVID-19 cannot be arrested. President Rodrigo Duterte, however, warned that COVID-19 may just circulate in the air for years if they refuse to get vaccinated and observe minimum public health standards.
Kayong mga ayaw magpabakuna, okay lang sa akin. Ganito yan eh. Ideally, talagang kung talagang matudwis pilitin ng gobyerno. But this is a democracy. We cannot arrest you if you go out. Ang ating depensa lang talaga is iwas, bahay, tapos wash your hands, do not go out when it is not necessary. Bakuna, kung mayroong bakuna, habang may bakuna, as long as there is a supply nearby na punta ninyo, magpabakuna na kaagad kayo para sigurado.
Still to come, over 3 billion pesos worth of ayuda has been released to low-income beneficiaries in Metro Manila. And the DOH says the new peak of COVID-19 infections is now close to the situation back in April of this year. Details ahead, keep it here on the PNA Newsroom.
Ito ang Fast 5. Mayroon tayong 5 minuto para tanungin ang mga eksperto tungkol sa COVID-19.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Ana Ong Lim and I'm with the DOH Technical Advisory Group.
Anong mga sintomas ng COVID-19 ang pwede i-treat sa bahay?
So napakagandang tanong. Ang mga mild symptoms, pinakakaraniwan pa rin siya sa mga nararamdaman ng mga taong nagpa-positive sa COVID-19. Kasama na dito yung lagnat, ubo, sipon, pananakit ng katawan, yung iba nagtatae. Pinaka-importante talaga is bantayan yung hirap sa paghinga kasi once sumumpong na yon, hindi na natin pwedeng sabihin mild and definitely kailangan na siguro na makita sa ospital o makita ng kanilang doktor.
Paano natin malalaman kung pwede tayo mag-home isolation?
Magandang mapag-usapan ng home isolation kasi lalo na ngayon, no, maraming mga taong nasa mga TTMFs or quarantine facilities or even sa hospital. And for as long as yung ating pamamahay ay may sariling lugar or isang silid na kung saan pwedeng mamalagi yung may sakit, and mas maganda rin sana na may sarili siyang magagamit na banyo.
Ano naman ang pwede kong gawin kung meron akong lagnat?
Ang lagnat ng COVID is not any different kumpara dun sa lagnat na nadala ng ibang sakit. Kino-consider natin na may lagnat na ang isang tao pagka ang kanyang temperatura ay 37.5 pataas. Now, typically, kung meron tayong lagnat, iniinuman lang naman natin to ng paracetamol. Karaniwan, isang tableta tuwing ika-4 hanggang ika-6 na oras.
Ano naman ang home treatment para sa sore throat?
Ang sore throat, karaniwan, ginagamot lang natin yan using supportive care. So tulad na lang ng saline gargles or pagmumog, no, ng water na may konting asin, o kaya pwede ring gumamit ng mga menthol preparations or menthol candies para lang medyo maibsan yung pananakit ng lalamunan.
Around 3.2 million beneficiaries in Metro Manila have benefited from the financial aid or ayuda a week after the government started the distribution of cash aid in areas placed under the enhanced community quarantine status. Interior Secretary Eduardo Año said the distribution is currently moving up at 29.31%. Anyo earlier gave the local government units 15 days to dispense the ayuda. Each qualified resident in ECQ areas will receive cash assistance of 1,000 pesos each or up to a maximum of 4,000 pesos per family. The Department of Health says the peak of COVID-19 infections during the second week of August can now be compared to the highest number of cases recorded in April this year. Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere said the country's epidemic curve show an increase in the number of cases every week. She said cases from August 10 to 16 already hit 12,824 cases per day, or equivalent to 45% increase from 8,930 cases on August 3 to 9. She said those who are 20 to 59 years of age remain to have the largest proportion of cases. 60 years old and above age group remains to have the highest proportion of deaths, while deaths in pediatric age group remained at 0 to 1% of the total deaths. Meantime, age group 30 to 39 years old and 40 to 49 years old show an increasing trend by 3 to 4 percentage points. The Department of Health in Western Visayas has released some 684 million pesos funds for the special risk allowance of health workers working with patients of COVID-19. The DOH said 462 million pesos have been transferred back from September to December 2020 and 221 million from December 2020 to April 2021. The SRA not exceeding 5,000 pesos per month is given to public healthcare workers who physically report for work in public hospitals, DOH certified private hospitals, and other facilities. The regional office said the reported delay in the release of the benefit could be due to a lack of documentary requirements. Meanwhile, government agencies are sending help to Bulacan as more medical workers are being deployed to help address rising COVID-19 cases in the province. Reinforcements are expected to arrive next week to fill up the shortage of medical staff. Governor Daniel Fernando previously appealed to agencies including the Department of Health and Philippine National Police to lend their medical workers to look after COVID-19 patients. As of August 16, the first day of the modified enhanced community quarantine, the Provincial Health Office reported 2,606 active COVID-19 cases out of over 50,000. MECQ status will be until August 31st. House Committee on Health on Tuesday urged PhilHealth to review and correct what it called mistakes in its circulars on COVID-19 benefit packages. Panel Chair Quezon Representative Angelina Tan raised the issue on PhilHealth Circular 2021-008, which was applied in November 2020 but only circularized in June 2021. The circular provides that only claims for confirmed COVID-19 cases based on a positive test result shall be covered by the existing inpatient COVID-19 package. Tan said the retroactive application means claims of probable cases will lose out on benefits provided similarly to confirmed cases. She said millions of COVID-19 probable claims are in danger of being denied, causing huge losses to healthcare facilities. PhilHealth President Attorney Dante Gueran promised to resolve the issue. He clarified that modifications on benefit packages are not only inevitable, but necessary, as PhilHealth needs to continuously review packages in face of evolving protocols. The Bureau of Internal Revenue has reminded people using social media platforms to earn money of their responsibilities to pay the correct taxes. Finance Undersecretary Antoinette Tionco said social media influencers are urged to register and pay correct taxes as authorities determine the revenue that is supposed to be collected from this sector. She said the BIR is also determining revenue leakage figures by looking at counterparties such as those that advertise. The BIR issued Revenue Memorandum Circular number 97-2021 after receiving reports that some social media influencers are either unregistered or not paying income taxes. It said they need to pay income tax and business taxes like the 12% value-added tax. Tionco said registration with the BIR is easy and can be done online. Up next, 9 siblings whose parents were killed by the NPA get cash aid, and development in the South. The Transportation Department aims to finish the Davao High Priority Bus System by the third quarter of 2023. We're back after a quick break. Stay with the PNA Newsroom.
Ano naman ang warning signs ng paglala ng mga sintomas?
Ang pinaka-importanting bantayan sa mga simptomas na lumalala na related to COVID-19 is really yung hirap sa paghinga. Pwede rin yun na rin na magdala nung confusion. Pwede rin yung mga simptomas tulad ng sobrang panghihina kasi halos hindi na makakain, hindi makainom, no? So yung mga ganong klaseng signs, kailangan siyang masubaybayan ng healthcare professional.
Paano ko naman maiiwasang mahawaan ang mga kasama ko sa bahay?
Pinaka-importante dun sa iisipin natin pag tayo nag-isolate is dapat talaga nakabukod tayo sa ibang tao. So, dun lang tayo sa ating silid, dun na tayo kakain, hindi na tayo lalabas hanggang makatapos ng 10 araw. Now, kung tayo naman ay nasa isang lugar na shared bathroom pa rin ang ating ginagamit, sana yung surfaces ng banyo tulad nung yung doorknobs, yung faucet, yung pinaka-surface ng lababo, at saka yung pinag-upuan natin sa inidoro, pupunasan muna natin yan bago natin iwanan ng banyo para yung susunod na gagamit, hindi naman mahawaan ng ating mga secretions o yung mga tilamsik ng ating laway kung sakasakali naman ay tayo ang gumamit ng banyo.
Sino po ang pwedeng kausapin kung may karagdagang mga tanong pa ako?
Maraming resources sa ating mga communities at napakaraming health workers na handang tumulong. No? So unang-una na siguro doon yung ating mga BHERTs, no? Sila naman ay naabisuhan, o yung mga midwives or nurses sa ating community, even our local health center physicians, they're always ready to help us with our questions.
Maraming salamat, Doc Ana. May mga paalala pa po ba kayo?
Karamihan pa rin naman sa mga kababayan natin nagpa-positive for COVID ay nabibilang dun sa mild and asymptomatic category. So, mukha namang kaya, no? Most of the time, nababantayan itong ating mga kapamilya within the home. Ang importante lang, siguro, habang maaga, meron ng link to telemedicine o kaya nakausap natin yung ating mga barangay or community healthcare workers para kung sakasakalit medyo lumala yung lagay ng ating kapamilya ay nakaset up na kung anong susunod nating gagawin. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat and mag-ingat po tayo.
Bida Solusyon Plus, laban sa COVID-19.
You're still watching the PNA Newsroom. 9 siblings whose parents were killed by suspected CPP-NPA rebels in Gihulngan City, Negros Oriental, have received cash aid from the government. The Gihulngan City Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict came to the aid of the children of the late Rodrigo and Celerina Lubay of Barangay Trinidad after they were orphaned. The Lubay couple, along with Ronelo Quirante and Roger Fat, was murdered by suspected members of the Leonardo Panaligan Command. The victims were accused of being military informants. The Lubay siblings have since struggled with their day-to-day existence after their parents were killed on May 14. The children received 50,000 pesos in cash assistance from the proceeds of the Heroes Adventure Challenge. The run-and-bike event that started in July aims to raise funds to support the scholarship of children affected by the armed conflict in Gihulngan. Indigenous peoples from the Atamanobo tribe who were victims of the New People's Army in Talaingod, Davao del Norte received housing units from the provincial government on Monday. The housing project at Sitio Tibukak, Dagohoy was funded by the Office of the Presidential Advisor on the Peace Process with counterpart funding from the province. Governor Edwin Jubahib said the project was for IPs who were locked inside the United Church of Christ in the Philippines Haran Center and lost their homes due to NPA's atrocities. Former members of the NPA in the tribe were also among the beneficiaries. He told the IPs that the real solution to improving their lives is through hard work and making use of their ancestral lands. For their part, the former NPA members vowed to work hard to bring back to their respective communities some of the IPs' families still left in Haran. More infrastructure projects are underway in Marawi City as the National Housing Authority and the local government signed agreements on construction works in the city's most affected area. More on this from Claire Gighe.
The National Housing Authority or NHA and Marawi City local government entered into a memorandum of agreement yesterday for the land acquisition of the road right-of-way for road project and site acquisition for various physical infrastructure projects in the most affected area or MAA of the city.
It's an attempt on the part of NHA to finally resolve the issue on the right-of-way. Kasi all our infrastructure projects such as the road infra and other vertical infrastructures nato affected ang mga private or mga claims ng mga yuta.
As per the MOA, a budget amounting to 400 million pesos should be able to cover the payment for the right-of-way acquisition. According to their computation, there is roughly 120 million pesos allocation for the compensation for the real property owners affected by the alignment of primary, secondary, and tertiary roads in MAA. Also part of the 400 million pesos amount is the payment for all facilities which will become the site of the government's transformers. Compensation for institutional infrastructures including madrasa, schools, hospitals, among others, will also be compensated as these are also claimed to be private properties. Escalada also encouraged City Mayor Mahul Gandamra to also pay the temporary shelters in Sagunsongan, Rurugagos, and Buganga if there will be a remaining amount out of the allocated budget, as these will be the sites which can be legally transferred to the would-be beneficiaries. He stated that as the Master Development Plan or MDP assigned NHA for the payment for the right-of-way, his analysis made him realize that the NHA will not remain forever. Thus, LGU should bear lots of functions, especially for the payment for the right-of-way.
Sa atong mga kaigsunang Maranao, kung kamo affected sa amuang infrastructure, don't worry because namatay pondo as payment of the just compensation.
For PNA Newsroom, Claire Gighe of the Philippine Information Agency, Ligan City Information Center.
The Davao High Priority Bus System is expected to be fully operational by the third quarter of 2023. The HPBS or the Davao Public Transport Modernization Project aims to deliver a much improved public transport infrastructure and services to Davaoeños. He said the project has three major components: public transport system improvement, institutional capacity strengthening, and social development program. The HPB will prioritize interconnected bus services along its 626-kilometer road network. The project is expected to break ground by the second quarter of 2022. It will be capable of serving 800,000 passengers per day once completed. Transportation Secretary Arthur Tugade said the project shows that the government is bringing inclusive transport development to Visayas and Mindanao. Another Olympics hero is getting his due reward decades after bringing glory to the country. Chooks to Go President Ronald Mascareñas awarded to Leopoldo Cervantes a lifetime 100,000 peso monthly allowance. Cervantes won a bronze medal for boxing in the Seoul Olympics in 1988. He is currently confined at the Veterans Memorial Medical Center with a chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Atlanta Olympic silver medalist Onyok Velasco helped Mascareñas in finding the now 59-year-old Cervantes. Velasco said Cervantes was considered a hero in his time among amateur athletes. For his part, Mascareñas said Filipinos cannot just forget the sports heroes that gave honor to the country in the past. Interested donors who would like to help Cervantes may deposit to his personal land bank account. The Regional Development Council of Eastern Visayas is upbeat that a full-blown feasibility study on the construction of another San Juanico Bridge will push through next year. The RDC highly recommended that the Department of Public Works and Highways and the Japan International Cooperation Agency conduct a full-blown feasibility study. The target is to start the full-blown study next year and will be completed in 2023. The proposed Janbatas Bridge will connect the towns of Babatngon, Leyte, and Santa Rita, Samar. It is named after Janbatas Channel, a portion of the sea that separates Leyte and Samar. The National Economic Development Authority Regional Director Bonifacio Uy said this is an urgent study considering that the San Juanico Bridge is encountering issues such as aging and high maintenance costs. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. The government continues to repatriate Filipinos from Afghanistan as tensions grip the country following the return to power of the Taliban. The Philippines is also ready to open its doors to Afghan refugees. Malacanang vows to further improve the country's COVID-19 vaccination drive following a recent survey showing Filipinos' perception towards the inoculation program. Local government units in Metro Manila have disbursed over 3 billion pesos in financial assistance to low-income families affected by the enhanced community quarantine in the region. And the Bureau of Internal Revenue has a gentle reminder to your vloggers and social media influencers: pay correct taxes. As Filipinos, we all have a vital role to play in preventing the spread of COVID-19. So remember, wear your face masks and face shields, wash your hands often, practice safe physical distancing, go out only for essential reasons, and get vaccinated as soon as possible to protect ourselves, our families, and the community. Together, we can beat COVID-19. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. For more news content, check our webpage or log on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also, watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, we tell stories that inspire change. I am William Theo. Good day, everyone.